Hey, what is going on, YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I got a nice little replay for you guys today. We are back in the Cristoforo Colombo. This was captured, of course, when I had the ship on loan from Wargaming in the first few weeks of the past update. They have since taken her back, but I really enjoyed this ship, and I just wanted to make another video since I have seen a few out in the wild. That's right, we've got a few other fellow wallet warriors out there boosting their way to the Colombo. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think now with the updated Bureau guide, and I actually need to do a video on that, that it is okay now because they have the Tier 7 and Tier 8 tech tree, predecessing ships that you have to get one win in order to advance the Bureau, which I think is a great idea. I've seen some people on the Facebook pages saying, well, I don't have the Veneto. It's like, well, then you're not going to know how to play the Colombo. People think, and this ship is a perfect example of that, people think that every battleship is exactly the same in Legends, as I sail broadside to an Alaska here and get chunked pretty good for it, teaching you guys that you should not sail broadside. But accuracy builds, while they are nice and while I do run them on a majority of my ships, are not everything. I don't care who you are or what you say. This ship was a full secondary build, and we do much better than we would have if we were running full accuracy. Now, that being said, can you spec this ship for full accuracy? Yes, but you're essentially wasting your time. You're slightly increasing a ship that is not going to be accurate for the most part, instead of building into the strength of the ship, which is definitely its SAP secondaries. Now, you will notice that we are kind of getting out on the flank here. This game mode is Epicenter. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of Epicenter. Much rather have Epicenter, though, over capture the base. But the strength of the ship, as we're talking about, is getting a flank, getting all of those guns, those nice 15-inch Italian guns on target, as well as getting in range for your secondaries. We did take a risky broadside salvo, and that is something you definitely want to avoid. But if you can get out here on the flank, this ship's combination of decent armor when angled, 16 guns, and I think 8 or so-ish, maybe 9, I'm not exactly sure of the secondary range, but when those secondaries get in range, you pop your smoke, you've got a disgusting, aggressive battleship. Now, the issue is, do you have a team to support you? In half of the games, no. In the other half, they're over in 2 seconds, and that one game out of 10 you may get might be fun, and that is part of the problem with a few of these brawling battleships. They are excellent ships in their own way, but the way the meta currently is in the game, if you are overly aggressive in the opening minutes, your team just kind of sits there. You are focused, heavily, and then of course you are no longer in the game. But if you play with a touch of strategy, you get an aggressive team. You can see our destroyer is pushing out on the flank here. We have another cruiser in support, and our team is kind of clogged up the middle. Then you can get a game to go exactly how this one did, which is a pretty fantastic ending. So we're going to try and focus this Alaska, get him off the board, but you'll notice we actually also have an angle already on that Giuseppe Verdi. The Verdi was not necessarily paying attention. And our team is also, we do have to give our team a lot of credit. They have already eliminated 2 destroyers on the enemy team. It seems as if the red team is the one in this game to have the quality teammates, the quality destroyer players. If you want to know how a game in Legends is going to go, a great predictor of that is how fast your destroyer players die. If they die in the opening minutes, as the enemies did, you can usually assume that you're going to win. If yours die, then you can, the opposite is generally true. Unfortunately, we didn't get our turrets off on this Verde in time, but he did turn this way, giving up broadside to a few of our friendlies, so he paid for that. We're going to go ahead and throw a shot into his superstructure while our SAP secondaries take off. We are not the most angled, but you can see we have Ramal. He is a viewer out there in the Montana, as well as that Alaska on our flank. So we're going to stop, use this rock as a little bit of cover, on top of trying to remain angled to both the Verde here, as well as the Montana out on the flank. This is the spot of aggression that I think a lot of players make their mistake or assume that their team is just going to blindly push. You have no idea what the other 8 players are going to do. You can see that destroyer is out on our flank, but that cruiser behind us has since turned around. And if we were to keep pushing in this situation, we would just either be focused out or a destroyer, there's still one left on the enemy team, has the option to turn around and come torp us. So blindly pushing into these situations after your team has already made a slightly aggressive push is pure stupidity. You can think of the German battleship division that sent me hate mail. Blindly pushing into any situation without first reading the map or gaining full map control is just a silly, silly push. But because of the smoke that the Colombo has, we are able to pop that smoke, go undetected here, and then push into, retreat essentially and push into a better position, more able to help our team. Thank you to the smoke firing penalty that the recent buff that the Italians got for the smoke firing penalty, allowing me to shoot in this situation. We aimed superstructure, but because Ramal is an intelligent player, he knows how to angle, and you can see we actually got, I think, 5 or 6 bounces on that salvo. But if you're actually looking at the game flow currently going on, our team has kind of lost the right flank there. They do have control of the epicenter, which is huge. I personally think the point, adjustment should be changed in epicenter, as if you are in control of all 3 caps, the game is essentially over in about 5 minutes. It should be, but as we get a nice hit on the superstructure that time, you don't want. I want games to last a little bit longer, and with idiotic teammates that do populate this game, all of us are thinking of a specific scenario right now in our heads. When those players populate our team and they don't get the epicenter, the game is just no fun. Now, that is part of the nature of a competitive game with objectives, and which is why it bugs me so much when someone says, I got XYZ worth of damage. Okay, but did you play the objective? Well, no, but I got damage. Okay, well, you're an idiot. So that is part of the problem with Epicenter. But if you'll notice, our Smallland actually got the last Shimakaze off the board. So we do have a huge advantage right now in terms of caps and spots. But if you look at the opposite, the enemy team has a huge advantage in terms of Alpha Strike and just overall DPM in terms of them having more cruisers. So you win some, you lose some. I'm paying attention to the ships behind us because just like most of your teammates usually do, they only pay attention to what is in front of them. And you can see our destroyers are kind of focused on chasing battleships to the back of the map. It's not exactly working out that way, but we have pushed that Montana off as our Smallland goes down. So now we're in a little bit of a pickle. You'll notice we don't have that much damage, but we do have the cap advantage. So we are trying to utilize our armor and our health right now in order to give our team an advantage. As you can see me frustrated with the way that salvo turned out. That is when the Grossa Kurfürst pops around this island here. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably not the absolute best position, but I am isolating my engagements, right? I am utilizing island cover. I am looking away as Ramal gets a nice salvo on me. If we're being honest, that was probably a little bit of a lucky salvo. We were moderately angled, as we are turning away from him. But like I said, this is potentially a risky position if I cannot execute these kills. If I can, however, then we are going to have a massive advantage, both in terms of points as well as, of course, that ship advantage you get for exchanging those kills. In this situation, though, the Colombo excels. Now, we do have Ramal out there on our broadside, but we have our smokescreen. On top of that, we have our secondaries going off on the Kurfürst. We check our flank, which is why we use overview camera. A lot of people have always asked that. Ramal is out there. It looks like he's lining up a shot on us. So what we're going to do is utilize our smoke, get a little bit closer so that way we are in secondary range. Something you need to pay attention to is while you are in your smokescreen, you should not shoot your guns unless you know that you are not within that smoke firing penalty. In this situation, I wanted to make sure that he was going around the island. We actually get a pretty cheeky citadel. So basically we shot for free, but if you did notice, when he was not around that island, we lost our concealment. He went around the island though. I knew that was going to happen, and we regain our concealment once again. So if you, again, notice our destroyers, we had a 2 destroyer advantage to their none, and now both of them are dead. So we talked about having the better destroyer players. And initially, I thought they were on our team until they died. If you are a destroyer player and there's no enemy destroyers left, you should never, ever, ever die unless you take a random torp or the situation, potentially calls for you rushing in. To me, that is one of the lowest skill plays in Legends, is if you're a destroyer player and you die to a battleship. Now, a radar cruiser is a little bit of a different situation. We have that Alaska still left. We did leave those ships out there on our flank, and you could make an argument that I could have pushed them, but both of those ships were kiting away. And I don't know how many times we've said, do not chase kites. A kite is when a ship does what Ramal and that Alaska did, and it angles away, so they are angling their armor on top of getting all of their guns on target. Here, though, we wanted to make sure we get this shot off, and we did before we go around that island there, because we were not necessarily angled at the best angle. But that is 2 kills down, and we've got 3 more at the very least to go. There is a Montana, Alaska, a Minotaur that just popped up, and a Burgone left. Unfortunately, we get beached here because we absolutely would have tore that Mino a new one. Now, something we do need to watch out for is the single fire torpedoes from that Mino. And that is when the Alaska, who went all the way back on that flank, pops up. We've got that cruiser out there spamming. So we're just going to go ahead and line him up. The agonizing turret traverse on the Italians is now coming back to haunt us, but thank goodness that our cruiser is in the back of the map distracting that Alaska. We send a full salvo away. Probably didn't need to do that, but regardless, we wanted to, ensure that kill. And yes, he is now off the board. So a touch of kill stealing, but in this situation, it doesn't matter because there's only 2 ships left. I don't care who gets the kill as long as we get the win. But if you're looking at the scoreboard, we are still ahead, although there is enough time for the enemy to take the lead. So we need to do something important. That is either contest the cap or eliminate these last few battleships and make sure that they don't kill our remaining teammate. Just one of our team needs to survive in order to win, and of course, in order to do so, we need to make sure we have the point advantage when that happens. Some people... It's just fascinating. I was looking back at some footage, and a Worcester was shooting in the final seconds, losing us the points just to get an extra few thousand damage. But a beautiful hit on Ramal's superstructure there, the superstructure hit we missed earlier. As we go forward, pushing ourselves back into concealment. So a little bit of the cruiser boy is coming out. Probably not the best to be putting this battleship in very maneuverable positions. You are not that agile. So, make sure you're paying attention to your rocks. Here, we're kind of waiting. We were showing that we were going forward. We're waiting for the torpedoes. We know that the Mino is out there. And I think, I don't remember if I catch one or however many, but we know that the Mino is there. So in order for him to get his torpedoes on, he will have to open up broadside, which will give us enough time to absolutely obliterate him, even if he has healed up a substantial amount. Sometimes it is, confusing as we get one of the cheekiest shots of my warship's career. Each of us spot each other for about 12 seconds, and I get enough in overpens and pens to get Ramal off the board before he can even get a shot on me. So again, we have a massive point advantage, and I look back and signal for the Napoli that I need some help as we get our 4th kill. I need some spots, right? I am kind of in this tough position where I don't want to get torpedo rushed, but also we need to make sure we don't lose our cap advantage. So I could put my ship in the center circle, but what would have been best is if the Napoli would have just kind of pushed in, knowing his armor scheme. As long as we eliminate the torpedo threat and the Mino, he should not die to a 15,000 health Burgone. But I know that this Burgone is around the corner, and we're not sure of where the Mino is. I'm guessing he's around this corner, and that is when we see him. We shoot. Good night. Thanks for playing. Confederate, Kraken, high caliber, and that is unfortunately when he got the torpedoes off on me, and he gets the kill as we get one final salvo with the rear turrets and get the high caliber on that shot. So a pretty epic finishing sequence there. Not that much damage, but a perfect display of just pure seamanship. Shipmanship, seamanship in the Colombo there. So again, not a 200,000 damage game, but just a perfect, aggressive-ish type game that also involves reading the minimap and utilizing all of the skills and traits you need as a player in this game in order to perform well. Here, though, we see that this Napoli is smartly shooting AP, not opening up angle. Although the Napoli does not have a protected bow in this situation, he does need to close up the angle a little bit. As you can see, a few of those shells did go right through, and he's still shooting AP. So at this point, you can see I'm on stream. He's like, oh my gosh, he's opening up angle. This is not going to go well. All the Napoli needs to do in this situation is either ram or survive. You can see that he did, in fact, launch some torpedoes. He does have his SAP secondaries going off, and he actually did, I think, switch to HE at the end and get the kill to secure the win. A game that should not have been that close. But that is part of the fun of this game, because if we would have just said we're just going to go ahead and lose, then we would not have gotten that Kraken and that pretty decent replay for you guys. Kraken high caliber Confederate with a decent score to our Smalland as well. Not the most XP, but we didn't get really any caps or that many defends, and that's going to obviously hurt the XP a little bit. So a good replay for you guys, showing the strengths of the Colombo and why you don't need accuracy on every single battleship. If you put the ship in the right spot, the 16 guns should be enough for you to do well. And I don't know, if this replay doesn't prove it, by all means run accuracy build on your Colombo and just, let the stats suffer. But that was just a quick little replay for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tonight on stream. Potentially, I don't know if we're going to do any more Halloween stuff, but, definitely tonight on stream for some ships and then probably some Battlefield or maybe Call of Duty. I'm not sure if I can play that still. But regardless, love you guys. Have a great day. I'm out. Peace.